You're living through a time unlike any other in human history. Traits once seen as destructive are now celebrated, while those who protect and build are mocked or erased. This isn't a random shift, it's a meticulously engineered collapse, affecting us biologically, psychologically, energetically, and spiritually. In this video, we'll decode how our brains, relationships, and futures have been hijacked, and what it means for us all. Let's begin by understanding the anatomy of this transformation, and why it's so crucial to recognize what's truly happening beneath the surface. Celebration of shamelessness, especially among women, is often marketed as empowerment or liberation. But what we're really witnessing is a biological hijack, cleverly disguised as progress. The female brain's behavioral inhibition system, centered in the prefrontal cortex, evolved to protect, generating caution and discernment. When this system is deactivated, it doesn't create freedom, it leaves women unprotected, vulnerable to exploitation and harm. This isn't about weakness, but about the loss of a vital internal alarm system that once safeguarded reputation and value. Estrogen and oxytocin naturally guide women toward bonding and selectivity, traits rooted in biology, not social constructs. Today, these systems are overridden by chronic exposure to hypergamous media, pharmaceutical interventions, and nutritional deficiencies. The result: impulse control weakens and the ability to feel protective shame diminishes. A woman unable to feel shame becomes a resource to be consumed, rather than a person to be valued. This chemical override is not accidental, it's a byproduct of modern life and its relentless stimuli. Ancient yogic and tantric traditions understood feminine energy as selective and nurturing. When energetically balanced, a woman's energy attracts and discerns, conserving what is sacred. But today, media and societal pressures force an energetic opening, leaving the doors of the palace open to all. This forced exposure leads to desensitization, a coping mechanism that's then marketed as cool or indifferent. In reality, it's a loss of the ability to sense safety and danger, leaving women energetically vulnerable. From the perspective of the Upanishads, the female body is a temple, a vessel for creative force. When this temple is profaned by its occupant or by culture, the nourishing energy of Shakti turns destructive. This isn't about moral judgment, but about a spiritual law as reliable as gravity. When sacredness is lost, chaos replaces creation, affecting not just individuals but the entire community. The spiritual cost of this loss is profound and often invisible. Destruction of feminine shame wasn't an accident, it was engineered for profit and control. Industries like pornography, beauty, entertainment, and pharmaceuticals all benefit when women see their value as sexual availability. A woman with intact shame is a poor consumer, she doesn't need constant validation or endless products. Politically disconnected women are easier to control, more available for the workforce, and less likely to build strong families. The redefinition of virtue as oppression was a deliberate move to reshape society. Shamelessness celebrated. When one woman abandons shame, she gives others permission to do the same, creating a cycle of social desensitization. Men may consume the shameless woman but rarely commit to her. Evolutionary instincts still value modesty, discernment, and loyalty. The cruel trick is that women who believe they're being cool are actually being filtered out from long-term investment, often without realizing it. The celebration is a mirage hiding deeper social consequences. Modern men are not inherently evil, they are enslaved by their own brains, hijacked by forces they barely understand. The dopamine system designed to motivate survival is now overstimulated by endless digital stimuli. Where once dopamine was released for real achievements, today it's triggered artificially, leading to chronic overstimulation and downregulation of dopamine receptors. The result: men need more extreme and frequent stimulation just to feel anything, creating a cycle of addiction and emptiness. Sexual obsession in men shuts down the prefrontal cortex, the center of judgment and discernment. Brain scans show decreased activity in areas responsible for empathy and judgment, while reward-seeking and emotional reactivity spike. This neurological hijack explains why men pursue validation at any cost, abandoning principles and relationships for fleeting pleasure. It's not a conscious choice, but a response to overwhelming stimuli that bypasses rational thought. Testosterone, when balanced, drives confidence and protectiveness, but without purpose or challenge it becomes directionless. In a hypersexualized culture, this drive latches onto whatever promises relief, often sexual validation. The so-called simp isn't overflowing with testosterone, he's lost his sense of purpose, attaching his energy to the nearest source of validation. This misdirection leads to exhaustion, emptiness, and a constant search for meaning. In yogic traditions, male energy is meant to be conserved and transformed into creative and spiritual power. But today, sexual energy leaks through constant stimulation and obsession, draining life force and leaving men tired, depressed, and unfocused. The more energy is wasted, the greater the emptiness, leading to even more desperate seeking. This cycle is not laziness, it's a spiritual injury, leaving men disconnected from their true potential. When sexual desire overwhelms judgment, men lose the ability to distinguish between healthy and harmful relationships. They can't tell who respects them or who uses them, or even what their genuine needs are. This isn't stupidity, it's the result of a demagnetized internal compass, caused by relentless stimulation. Industries that profit from male desperation know this, and have built entire empires on exploiting it. In traditional societies, relationships and family were investments with long-term returns, companionship, economic partnership, safety, and meaning. Today, these returns are no longer guaranteed. Companionship is replaced by entertainment, economic partnership by independence, and sexual fulfillment by on-demand screens. Children are seen as burdens, and the state replaces family support. When benefits can be obtained elsewhere with fewer costs, relationships lose their value. This shift is a rational response to changed incentives, not a moral failing. Oxytocin, the bonding chemical, once tied people together through touch, trust, and shared experience. Now its effects are mimicked by alcohol, social media, pornography, and parasocial relationships. These substitutes provide the illusion of connection without the cost or depth of real relationships. Like sugar, they create cravings without true nourishment, leaving people more isolated and unsatisfied the more they consume. From the Vedic perspective, family is a dharmic institution, a vehicle for fulfilling cosmic obligations and transmitting knowledge. When family collapses, these functions don't disappear, they're transferred to the state, corporations, or entertainment. The modern individual hasn't escaped obligation, but has simply changed masters. This spiritual emptiness is masked by constant distraction, but the loss of meaning is profound. Radical individualism, the belief that only the individual matters, has become the dominant ideology. But no one is truly self-made. Everyone is the product of parents, family, community, and countless ancestors. When people believe they owe nothing to anyone, they invest in nothing and no one. Relationships become optional, family a lifestyle choice, and bonds are seen as chains. This ideology undermines the very foundation of society. Modern disconnection creates a cruel cycle. Loneliness leads to seeking relief through substitutes, which fail to satisfy, leading to deeper loneliness and more desperate seeking. Over time, the capacity for genuine connection atrophies, and the tolerance for real relationship friction disappears. Many today aren't choosing loneliness, they're simply incapable of anything else, trapped in a feedback loop that destroys social muscles. Across cultures, when one individual rises above the average, whether in knowledge, integrity, or protection, they become a target. Like crabs in a bucket, others pull them down, not because of wrongdoing, but because their existence is an implicit accusation. The protector's value is only visible in times of crisis. In peace, they're seen as unnecessary or even threatening. False gurus, by contrast, comfort rather than challenge, making them more popular but ultimately more dangerous. Social comparison theory and the brain's default mode network explain why people resent excellence. When someone is more successful or virtuous, it triggers comparison, threat assessment, and defensive narratives. The protector, who sacrifices for the community, becomes a living reminder of what others chose not to do. This resentment is automatic, not conscious, and often leads to the destruction of those who could help most. From an energetic perspective, every group has a collective aura, with the protector serving as a lightning rod for negative energies. When the community turns on its protector, those negative energies flow directly into the group, leading to collapse. False gurus, meanwhile, amplify positive delusion, creating temporary relief but leaving the community more vulnerable in the long run. This is not just metaphor, it's energetic physics at work. False gurus promote universal acceptance without discernment, reject necessary hardness, and often use symbolic virtues like veganism as markers of superiority. While these ideas sound noble, they actually undermine the ability to protect and discern. Accepting everyone equally means accepting predators and parasites, while rejecting hardness leaves communities defenseless. Symbolic virtues distract from real issues, offering a sense of righteousness without real cost. People flock to false gurus because they ask nothing of their followers. True teachers demand transformation and sacrifice, while false teachers offer comfort and acceptance. In a society addicted to ease, the choice is clear: most will choose the path of least resistance. But this path leads to stagnation and vulnerability, not growth or protection. History shows a repeating pattern. Protectors emerge in crisis, are later resented and attacked, and are replaced by false teachers. Without real protection or knowledge, societies collapse. Today we're between the stages of destroying protectors and the rise of false teachers. Collapse isn't inevitable, but it's likely if the pattern continues. Recognizing this cycle is the first step toward breaking it. Rebuild, we must restore foundational principles: discernment, protective shame, purpose, genuine bonds, and necessary hardness. Discernment allows us to distinguish truth from falsehood, while protective shame guards what is sacred. Purpose gives life meaning beyond pleasure, and genuine bonds require investment and sacrifice. Hardness is the willingness to confront and protect when needed. These are not optional, they are essential for any healthy society. Women, reclaiming sacred femininity means understanding that attention, body, and emotional investment are finite resources. Selectivity is strength, and modesty is protection, not hiding but reserving what is sacred. Choices should be evaluated by their impact on the ability to build and sustain family. Spiritually, reconnecting with the archetype of the divine feminine means embodying protection, illumination, and blessing, rather than performance or entertainment. For men, purposeful masculinity is not toxic, it's necessary. Sexual energy should be conserved and redirected, not wasted. Purpose must come before pleasure, and protection should be seen as a core identity. Discernment in relationships is crucial. Invest only where you are valued. Spiritually, reconnect with the divine masculine as protector and provider, embodying principles of strength, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment to truth. Society can only be rebuilt collectively. Economic incentives must shift to reward connection and family, not disconnection. The information environment should be curated to protect attention and well-being. Community building is essential. Find others who see, and build networks of mutual support. The lone individual cannot withstand the pressures of modern life, but a connected network can thrive and resist destructive trends. Rebuild, we must actively resist the ideologies that have led to collapse: radical individualism, normalization of sexual display, celebration of false teachers, and destruction of protectors. This resistance requires conscious choice and collective effort. Only by standing against these trends can we hope to restore meaning, connection, and resilience in our communities. True teachers exist, but they are rarely found on social media or in the spotlight. They demand transformation, teach discernment, and warn of real dangers. They live what they teach, often at personal cost, and do not seek fame or fortune. Supporting true teachers means learning from them, protecting them, transmitting their teachings, and striving to embody their principles in daily life. We are currently in a dangerous and uncertain gap. The old structures have collapsed and the new ones have yet to be built. False teachers are on the rise while true protectors are scattered. This moment is both perilous and full of potential. In the vacuum left by the old, anything is possible. What fills it depends on our choices and actions. There are two possible futures. The first is continued collapse. Family disappears, connection becomes impossible, false teachers consolidate power, and society fragments into isolated individuals. This path has been walked before, leading to civilizational death. The second path is conscious reconstruction, where enough individuals wake up, say no further, and begin to rebuild in their own lives, families, and communities. This path is harder, but it's the only one that leads to a future worth living. No cosmic force or destined savior will rescue us. The responsibility to rebuild lies with each of us. We must choose to act, to protect, to tell the truth, to build families, and to practice discernment. The world changes only when enough individuals make the difficult, costly, and courageous choice to live differently. The time to begin is now, with whatever resources and courage we have. Discernment, or viveka, is the first principle to restore. It is the ability to distinguish between real and fake, true and false, helpful and harmful. Without discernment, nothing else can be rebuilt. This capacity must be cultivated through honest self-reflection, learning from true teachers, and resisting the easy comforts of falsehood. Discernment is the foundation of all meaningful action. Protective shame, or ladja, is not about destroying self-worth but about guarding what is sacred. It allows us to say, this is not for everyone, this is mine to protect. Restoring healthy shame means reclaiming boundaries and respecting the sacredness of self and others. It is a shield, not a prison, and is essential for personal and collective well-being. Purpose, or dharma, is the understanding that life is about more than personal pleasure. It's about fulfilling obligations to ancestors, descendants, community, and truth. Purpose gives direction and meaning, transforming energy into constructive action. Without purpose, even the strongest drives become destructive. Reclaiming purpose is central to rebuilding both individual lives and society. Genuine bonds, or sambandha, are relationships that require investment, sacrifice, and give something irreplaceable. These bonds are not optional, they are the fabric of a healthy society. Rebuilding genuine bonds means prioritizing relationships that matter, investing time and energy, and resisting the lure of substitutes that offer only the illusion of connection. Shaurya, or necessary hardness, is the willingness to be difficult when difficulty is required. It means having the capacity for force, confrontation, and protection when reality demands it. Without hardness, communities become vulnerable to predators and collapse. Restoring this quality is essential for both men and women, and for society as a whole. Women are encouraged to conserve their energy. Attention, body, and emotions are not infinite. Guarding these resources is a form of power, not repression. Selectivity is a sign of strength, and modesty is a tool for protection. By reconnecting with the archetype of the divine feminine, women can reclaim their role as protectors and nurturers, rather than performers for external validation. For men, conserving ojas, sexual energy, is not about repression but about redirection. Purpose must come before pleasure, and protection should be central to identity. Discernment in relationships ensures that energy is invested wisely. By embodying the divine masculine, men can become protectors and providers, upholding truth and stability in their communities. Community building is vital for collective recovery. Find others who share your values and vision, and work together to create networks of support and protection. The lone individual is vulnerable, but a united community can withstand external pressures and rebuild what has been lost. This process requires patience, effort, and a willingness to invest in others. In a world saturated with distractions, guarding your attention is crucial. The information you consume shapes your mind, emotions, and actions. Be deliberate about what you allow into your life. Choose sources that nourish and strengthen, and avoid those that weaken or exploit. Your attention is your most precious resource. Protect it fiercely. True teachers are rare and often overlooked. They demand transformation, teach discernment, and live by example. Support them by learning, protecting, and transmitting their teachings. Strive to embody their principles in your own life, becoming a source of wisdom and protection for others. The survival of true knowledge depends on those willing to carry it forward. The future depends on those willing to take responsibility. Don't wait for permission or the perfect moment. Begin with what you have wherever you are. Protect, build, tell the truth, and practice discernment. The ancestors watch, the descendants wait, and the truth endures. Be worthy of it by choosing to act, no matter how small the first step may seem. This framework is a map, not the territory itself. It's a guide to help you find your own path, but real transformation comes from direct experience, learning from living teachers, and engaging with original sources. Use this map to orient yourself, but don't mistake it for the journey. The real work begins when you step beyond the map and into the territory of your own life. If you've made it this far, you have the capacity to see and the courage to face what's broken. Now comes the hard part, becoming what you seek. If you want protectors, be one. If you want truth-tellers, tell the truth. If you want family, build it. The world changes not through passive consumption, but through the active, courageous choices of individuals. Begin today with whatever you have. The future is waiting.